Hi, this is Ben Ivey, the Fulfillment Artist, and today we're going to be diving into how do you master your emotions and overcome repetitive negative thoughts. I've had a lot of people who message me and say, I don't know why, I just keep feeling the same way. I keep experiencing these negative thoughts and I don't know what to do. And today we're going to be diving into 8 different points that you can do, which is going to really start helping you mastering your emotional state. Because we have to bear in mind that the quality of your emotions is equal to the quality of your life. Because if you're experiencing negative emotions all the time on a consistent basis, that's just horrible. And it's going to put your state down, your work, your life, your health. It's just not a nice place to be. So now let's just dive into taking responsibility and starting to move yourself forward. So first thing, take responsibility. You've got to take responsibility that these are your emotions and you're responsible to deal with them. There's a lot of people that I meet that expect someone else to help them get in a better state. And there's a lot of people like that. And I like to equate them to a sponge or an energy vampire, because they suck the energy out of others to make themselves feel better. I'm in a bad mood, I need you to help me out of it. There's times where that happens, but if you don't take responsibility and say, you know what, I'm gonna be responsible for my emotions, I'm gonna take that responsibility and make it happen, that step is so crucial, because then it's not something that's outside of your control. You say, you know, these are my emotions, you know, that may have made me feel that way, and now it's my choice to do something different and to move forward. Right? That's point number 1. Second one, you've got to manage your emotional state. So what do I mean by manage your emotional state? Well, it's pretty simple. For a lot of people in life, they feel stressed, they feel anxious, they may feel depressed, and there are certain combinations that causes these emotions. So there's 3 different things, right? We've got state diving into physiology. So physiology is our body language. If I said that sitting down here is someone who's depressed, right? What do you think they're going to be looking like? They're bent over like this, shoulders down. They just won't be in a pleasant place. Right? You know what their body language is like. You know what their breathing is like. So immediately, we have to be able to understand, how do we switch this? The quickest way is to change your physiology. If you get up, if you move, if you start to move your body, that in and of itself can help change the emotions that you're experiencing. The next thing is your focus. Because it's all good and well, you know, standing up, but if you're still focusing on the past, you're focusing on things you can't control, you're focusing on negative situations, well, it's going to be impossible for you to move forward from that. So what we need to do is we have to understand, how do we manage this in a way where we can move forward? And you've got to focus on what's in your control. Focus on the future, the now, something positive in your life. Because if you always focus on the negative in the past and a horrible thing, how do you think you're going to feel? And the last thing is language. What is the language that you're using to say to yourself? Is it, oh, I'm not good enough, why am I such an idiot, like what did I do wrong? And you start using that language, it's going to put you on a downward spiral. So you need to start using language to help you move forward. You ask yourself a better question, you're going to get a better answer. A question of, why am I so stupid? The only answers you're going to get is going to be bad. Because of this, because you did this, or because, I don't know, you're an idiot. Whatever it is. If you ask bad questions, you're going to get a bad answer. So managing your emotional state is really key. So we have physiology, focus, and language. And by mastering those 3, you can quickly change that state, get it out of your system, you can move forward, and you can start to live a much more fulfilled life on a consistent basis. All right, what we've got for number 3. Become aware of your emotional triggers. So if something annoys you and really pisses you off and you're aware of it, like there's someone that really annoys you, or if something happens, like, I don't know, for me, I had an emotional trigger of the Wi-Fi not working. Previously, the Wi-Fi wouldn't work, I'd be on a call and it would just really get me riled up and angry. And I was thinking, right, well, this is obviously a trigger for me. If it happens, I can't do anything about it, right? And I made a mantra for myself, right, if I can't control it, I'm letting it go. Because if something outside of my control can make me feel negative, what sort of quality of life can I have? At any point, something else can affect me in a certain way. So that's not good. So instead, we want to become aware of these emotional triggers and be aware that if something is affecting us in a negative way, there's something unresolved inside of us, right? Maybe it's on an unconscious level. So let's say, you know, you see someone and they're drinking and they're very loud and you're like, oh man, I get really annoyed. Right? If that annoys you, then it's not them, there's something wrong in yourself. If that makes sense. If something outside of you affects you and makes you feel a certain way, then you've got to resolve that. So you've got to become aware of these emotional triggers, write it down and work out Why is that annoying me so much? And then you can start to move forward. Point number 4, you've got to be able to interrupt the pattern. So what do I mean by interrupt the pattern? Well, I'll give you a prime example, right? So let's say you are organizing something, you're getting stressed, you're getting annoyed, it's not working, you're on the phone, we can feel frustrated, right? So a way to interrupt that, a pattern, is to say, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna let this go, and you just lie on the floor, and just like this, just lie down. So it was one of the strategies I used to interrupt my pattern when I used to get really angry, to get really annoyed. I just lie on the floor and I take 3 deep breaths like that. Because breath is one of the best ways. When we're stressed, we breathe very shallow, we start going like this. So moving back to the breath, that's one way to interrupt your pattern, right? Another way is understanding your physiology, doing something different. Or, I'll give you a fun example. When my girlfriend and I, if we ever get into an argument, or I think she's interrupting me, right? Or I interrupt her, so we're interrupting each other, we're not letting each other finish our sentences, we just lick each other's faces. It's absolutely ridiculous, I know, but just like that, and it completely interrupts the pattern. It's hilarious, we both start laughing, and it interrupts it completely. I have another client who says that when him and his wife, they're getting into an argument, he just says, okay, and he goes over, he makes her a tea, he sits back down, he gives her the tea, and then they're more relaxed to deal with the situation, which I think is great. So it's important to be aware of interrupting these patterns, doing it consistently, and then it just becomes easier. Okay, then redefine your guidelines, your rules, and who you are. So there's a lot in here, and I want to share what I mean by this. There's a lot of people that believe they are a certain person. I am just someone, literally yesterday I was speaking to a client. She was saying that I feel like I am quiet, boring, and depressed. That's just who I am. If that's who you are, how could you be something different? That's not who you are. You weren't a baby, popped out the womb being like, oh, Mum, I'm sorry, I just don't want to be here. I'm just depressed. I'm just unhappy. I just don't like it here. And it doesn't happen, right? We've just learned these behaviors, and over time, if we just keep doing the same thing, we get the same result. So ultimately, we need to sort of redefine these guidelines of like who you are. What do you accept for yourself, right? So redefining that, I'm not a person that no longer tolerates this. What is the guidelines that you have? I'm someone that is choosing not to be in a negative state for an hour. I want to be able to switch my state in half an hour. That is a person who I am. I am mastering my emotions from now on. I'm not going to let my emotions control me. I will choose to be in charge of my life. And that's an amazing thing. So redefine those guidelines, those rules. I'll give you another example to dive into this a little bit more in depth. Also another client yesterday. I'm just using these examples because they're in my head. She was sharing that she felt stressed when other people told her what to do with regards to her creativity. And this used to really stress her out because her rule is that she always wanted to be in control and to be fully express who she was. Now the issue is that she couldn't take feedback from other people. So she was experiencing a lot of negative emotions because people would say something to her and she would believe it was an attack against her, right? So she would never be open to it because for her that's just not the right feedback. So she would get herself really, really stressed. So instead we have to choose how do we overcome this in a way that really, really makes sense. And the best way to do that is to just make that redefinition. So the cool thing is when we redefine these guides, these rules and things like that, the rule that we gave to her was maybe the rule is I will accept all feedback because it's an opportunity for growth. Like if she redefines that rule for her, as opposed to I have to be controlled all the time, and we start to redefine how she lives her life, then it's easy for her to have consistent positive emotions as opposed to consistent negative ones. And it's not like she's aware of this rule, but by questioning it yourself or having someone work with you to question it, it's one of the best things. Next, differentiate between you and your mind. And let me explain what I mean by this. Most people believe they're their mind. So this is what I'll say. For the next 10 seconds, stop thinking. Don't think about diddly squat, nothing. My guess is that you didn't do it. My guess is that your mind was like, why do I have to do this? What's going on? And then you try to stop thinking, and then you thought about something else, and your mind is just on autopilot. It just goes like this. So the question is that us? And if you can choose to differentiate between those Instead, this mind just goes past and kind of look at it like a road, loads of traffic on. And there's just loads of stuff happening, going back and forth. You don't try and stop the traffic and think like, oh, what is this? Let me see. You just observe it. And by observing the mind and believing it's not you, then that allows you to differentiate between getting angry and stressed and acting in a certain way or reacting, because the mind's built for survival. So it looks for things that are wrong. So because of that, if you think you're your mind, then you're going to be in a negative state. You have to choose to differentiate from that so that you can start to thrive in your life instead of being in the same place where you are surviving, getting stressed out and believing that you're your head. Next point, you need to become, and this is number 7, a master of meaning. Now, why do I say this? Because if you can learn to master your meaning in your life, then the meaning that we associate with things often gives us a certain emotion. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're late. The meaning that some people give that, oh, that means I'm a bad person. That means I'm stressed. That means, and we create a meaning. Instead, if we say, right, I can't control it. This is just going to mean that I need to be very efficient in the meeting. It means that I need to learn from this and do something different later. And as soon as we give these things different meanings, we just experience a different level of emotion in our life. So often we make one thing at the time seem really bad, and then a year later it's like, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. Like in relationships. Often someone gets into a relationship, they break up, like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to live, this is awful. And a year later they're like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Why? Because they give it a different meaning. So you've got to become a master of meaning in your life, and this will really help you shift to a whole different level. Last thing, this is really important, number 8, build up your emotional juice. Your emotional juice. Because if you start to build up your emotional juice, it's going to be fantastic. You've got to condition yourself every single day. What do I mean by this? When we start the day and we just wake up, most people, grab a coffee, look at your phone, and then you go about your day. That's not emotional juice. I mean, you think of what you're grateful for. Yeah. You think of what you want to become. Yeah. And you start to build up this emotional juice. Now, if you build this up, someone says something to you, you're like, yeah, it's fine. But if you have nothing, then you're going to be more irritable, you're going to be more stressed, you're going to be more negative. So you've got to build this up to begin with. So you've got to condition who you are every single day. And whether it's gratitude, you visualize what you want, you move into a heartfelt space and not just thinking about what you're grateful for, but really actually feeling it. And that makes a huge difference in your life and allows you to break through, because you can start to shift yourself in a variety of different ways, and it's just fascinating. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Comment if you've got any questions. Become the master of the emotions in your life, and I look forward to hopefully inspiring you soon and hearing all the stories of how you've mastered your emotions by interrupting your patterns and living a much, much better life. I'll speak to you guys soon.